Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Mystery School. I'm so glad that all of you are here. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful Sunday for Mystery School. Hello to everyone who is joining me on YouTube. I was watching the chat as we were getting started here, and I see that we have a lot of industrious people who are multitasking, working on building their familiarity with this language, working on building their fluency in the language of reality creation while also getting things done in their world. And that just makes me smile. That's amazing. That is the creator state. Hello to everyone who has joined me in the Zoom room. I've got my channel members. Had a beautiful conversation just to get started, talking about a couple of things in the Zoom room before we went live here. And always very edifying the conversations that are brought. So hello to all of you. We'll hear more from the Zoom room towards the end of the stream here. All right, so Sunday Mystery School, here we are. This is our 6th meeting here, Sunday Mystery School, building a fluency, building, again, familiarity with the language of reality creation. You know, it was occurring to me this week how there are so many different ways to say the same thing. You can say anything so many different ways. And sometimes we get used to hearing something said the same way for so often, for so long. Usually there's a length of time where we're used to hearing something said a certain way. And because of the repetition of it and the familiarity of it and the pattern of how it's said the same way, sometimes we can begin to take it for granted, that it, take the concept for granted. And because, it's just so routine to us, sometimes we don't necessarily take a deeper look and really understand what that concept is. And then by contrast, there are times when the same idea is presented slightly differently with perhaps a slightly different language, or perhaps, new words are applied, or there's a different vibration or frequency behind the words as they're spoken. And then suddenly there's a revelation. And it's like the idea is born brand new in our awareness, and we can stop and take a look at the idea and say, wait a second, this is something bigger or something more potent here. There's more of a revelation here than maybe the meaning I initially assigned to the idea. And I have an idea like that I've been sitting with, and I'm going to share it with all of you here in this gathering. So that idea is this concept that we are living in a reality field, okay? Now, when I think of reality field, I literally think of a field where things are grown. Things are growing in this field. But what is growing in this particular field are realities. Realities are being grown in this giant field. And as you begin to really consider in your mind's eye this image of a reality field growing different realities, you can begin to consider the concept or the idea that you are an individual point of awareness, a consciousness unit that is somewhere in this reality field. And you are having an experience of a reality that is growing in the reality field. Now, we understand that in an actual, tangible, physical field where things are growing, every plant that is growing in that field is, on some level, a microcosm of the macrocosm that is that field. Okay, so that plant is growing there because of the field, because of the things around it. It is growing in that specific spot. It is growing the way that it is growing because of the environment of the field, about where it is located in the field, what type of sun it gets, what type of rain it gets, what type of insects it gets, what type of animals come by. All of the things about the ambiance around that plant affect the way that that plant grows. So that plant is a microcosm of the macrocosm that is the field. Now, the reality field that we are living in is mediated in a lot of ways by our awareness. Actually, I would say it's entirely mediated by our awareness. We're consciousness units, and we are having experiences. And we understand consciousness units. So consciousness comes first, okay? So consciousness is primordial. That is the first cause. The universe is not material and then consciousness emerges out of material. The universe is consciousness and then material merges out of consciousness. And so as we begin to understand this, we can begin to conceptualize this idea of living in a reality field. A reality field, implying there are a lot of realities that we can experience in this field, which is abundant in realities, okay? So if you're traveling with me in your awareness right now and you're considering this idea of being present in a reality field, what is implied in this idea is that there are multiple realities growing in a field, and you, as a conscious point of awareness, are not just one of them. You can be any of them, and you can also be all of them. Meaning, you can become aware of being a one singular specific plant. You can move your awareness to another singular specific plant. You can become aware of being a portion of the field, meaning a lot of realities growing together in, a little reality harmonious unit of itself. And you can also become aware of being the entire field that contains all realities. Okay? Now, obviously, this is exactly how I introduced it. This is saying the same thing that has been said so many different times, but using perhaps slightly different language, a slightly different way of relating. And what I love about language in general, which is why we do this language training here at Sunday Mystery School. That's what this is. This is a way of learning to be fluent in the language of creating realities. What I love about this is that this idea of living in a reality field, there's something very subtle that it sets free in us. Okay, it sets something free because now we understand that we're not limited to a single plant in our field. We can choose any of the plants to become aware of, and we can also choose the entire field to become aware of. There's a liberation, there's an abundance of opportunities, an abundance of potentials that is communicated through this idea of living in a reality field. Now, what else does this idea encompass in it that is a gift for us to understand? Okay, so we can also, in this idea of a reality field, we can say, okay, I have my own personal reality field that I'm living in. And then I'm also living in a reality field that contains my personal reality field. Okay, so we can now, using this as an idea, we can say, okay, the situations and circumstances which define my personal reality field may or may not be the same as the situations and circumstances which define anyone else's or perhaps just any other reality field, okay? And then understanding that we are living in an abundance of potentials, an abundance of options, an abundance of realities, we can say, okay, well, if the reality field that I'm currently navigating and living within is not what I desire to experience further, meaning I'm kind of done with this one, I want to move on to another one, I can now choose. I have the power of choice to choose a different reality field, which has a different set of situations and circumstances, a different, is mediated by different beliefs and is operated through a different state of being, okay? So there's something about this idea of being in a reality field that really sets us free. And of course, here at Sunday Mystery School, we are all about teaching the language of reality creation and also the process of reality creation. What we mean by that is we're teaching you how to navigate this giant reality field that we're all living in through your ability to choose the individual reality field that you are giving life through your presence within it. Okay, so this is reality creation training so that we can learn to choose and be the operant powers of our reality fields. Now, we are the operant power anyways, whether we go through language training or not, whether we come to Sunday Mystery School or not, we are the operant power. So the difference is Sunday Mystery School, we're learning to do it consciously. We're learning to have creative agency over the realities that we choose to experience. And of course, at Sunday Mystery School, the last several sessions that we've done have been really focused on the technique, the way, in the Sunday Mystery School tradition, which is in the tradition of Neville Goddard, the way to choose which reality field you will experience. And we do that through very specific technique, a very specific procedure. This is a process for lowering our sensory perception, kind of reducing or limiting our sensory perception in the field that we're currently in, traveling in our awareness to another field, giving ourselves life and presence in the other reality field in a way where we're choosing it, and then understanding that by doing so, we actually are traveling in awareness. We're making real for ourselves another reality in the giant reality field. And then when we come back to this reality field, we find that it very quickly, naturally, easily changes and shifts until we move physically in the same way that we first moved in awareness. Now, why do we do this? Because we are connoisseurs. As we introduced in the last episode, episode 5, there's a beautiful analogy here. It's like, well, do we eat food simply to live? Meaning that do we manifest our reality simply to have any reality at all? Or do we choose with great care and connoisseurship the food that we will eat? Do we take joy? Do we take pleasure in the culinary experience? Or to complete the analogy here, do we take joy and pleasure in choosing the realities that we will experience? Are we simply living to experience a reality, or are we choosing with care and discretion how to express our creative agency in that state of creatorhood? Are we choosing which reality field to really place our presence and awareness in? And that's the brilliance of this. That's really what makes this such a beautiful idea, is that it sets us free. It liberates our hearts and minds to understand that we are living in reality fields, to understand that there's nothing that is set in stone, to understand that our consciousness is creating the whole field as well as the individual part that we are living in. And when we begin to understand this, this is the truth that sets us free. The truth that is the most valuable truth, because it is the key. It is the key that opens all doors. There's nothing that can remain locked. We cannot remain imprisoned when we know this key. We are able to set ourselves free. And this is exactly why our ancestors, the ancients, with such care, such love, such foresight, such knowledge of how important these ideas are, took the time, invested the energy to encode these sacred ideas in stories. They took the time to encode these ideas in ancient sacred wisdom to ensure that they would survive the centuries, so that humans could ultimately know what it is to be free, so that humans would never feel trapped without any sort of escape. Because when we understand the power of our consciousness, again, there are no jail cells. There is nothing that can imprison us. There's nothing that can keep us trapped in situations or circumstances, because we have the ability to move our awareness to a new reality field. Okay? So when we understand that this liberates us, we now understand that there are all different types of reality fields that we can choose to live in. Some of them are a lot of fun. Some of them subjectively aren't fun at all. Okay? But the thing is we have the power to choose. We have the power to redirect our focus, redirect our attention. We have the power to choose to develop this skill of being a creator of our reality. We have the choice to come to an event like Sunday Mystery School and invest time every week learning how to master the skill of reality creation. We always have the power to set ourselves free. And we are grateful to the ancients for ensuring that this truth about what reality is and how it is created was passed down, was preserved, so that future generations would always have access to that amnesty, that set us free, that absolute liberation, right? Nothing left over. The chains are broken, right? And so this, in this moment, I'm reminded of some of the Christmas songs. Okay, so it's like the Christmas songs talk about, the birth of Christ and how he sets man free. Chains shall he break. For the slave is his brother, right? It's like, okay, now we understand what this power is that we're talking about. That's what breaks the chains. That's what creates peace on earth and goodwill towards men. It's this creative power. It's this agency in that state of creatorhood. All right, so we're going to go ahead and continue to dive into the Neville text today. We're going to continue with another story. It's one of Neville's standby stories, one of his all-time favorite analogies from the Bible. It's the story of Isaac, Esau, and Jacob. We're going to get into that text in a minute. If you're looking for the text, it is in the video description on YouTube. It just kind of lives there. It's a link to the text. If you want to follow along, again, you don't have to. Some of you, I understand, prefer as an anchor tool. Obviously, if you are out getting stuff done, you're probably just going to listen. That's fine. I will read it to you, and we're going to continue this exploration. Before we do that, just checking to make sure all our settings are good. Yep, looking good. Okay. All right, so at this time, I would like to speak a blessing over this gathering. This blessing really is the guiding intention for everything that we do here at Sunday Mystery School. It really sets the tone, sets the vibration, the frequency, and is, again, really the guiding factor of everything that we do here. So this is a blessing that I'm going to speak over everyone who is gathered here in this space, everyone who listens to the recording, as well as all humans, all beings on this earth plane reality. This, from a place of love and gratitude and appreciation, this is a blessing that we are speaking over everyone. So I invite you just to join me in this moment, a moment of silence. I'm going to draw our energy inward, and I will speak these sacred words over our gathering. I turn now to go within, drawing my senses inward into the center of my own being. I offer gratitude and appreciation in this moment for the perfection that is this present moment. In gratitude, we accept that we are, and we declare that we are wise souls, growing healthy, youthful minds. Thank you that we are feeling now the presence of life force energy, awakening, enlivening, and making whole our physical bodies in this physical dimension. Thank you that our relationships are now healed with love, compassion, and understanding. Thank you that we have humbly accepted our power and our responsibility to imagine wisely as sovereign co-creators of the world we share. Thank you that we are inspired by life-expanding, consciousness-uplifting possibilities that are manifesting now. We honor the ancestors who have walked this path ahead of us, each and every ancestor. And we accept that we are ourselves the ancestors. Thank you for the wisdom passed down from the ancients, encoded all around us in the spirit of liberating our hearts and our minds. Thank you that together we welcome the inheritance of our bright and beautiful future. And so it is. Okay. We're going to continue with Neville's original masterclass. Originally presented in 1948 to a group of students, where he sits down and he interprets the great Bible stories, the great stories of Scripture that are encoded with this sacred knowledge, that are encoded with this sacred wisdom that teaches us how to be creators of our own reality field, how to choose with creative agency the reality field that we will occupy with our awareness. For those of you that are following along in the text, we are at the bottom of page 6. Starting with Neville's words, Neville says, "Our third interpretation is the story of Isaac and his two sons, Esau and Jacob. The picture is drawn of a blind man, Isaac, being deceived by his second son into giving him the blessing which belonged to his first son. The story stresses the point that the deception was accomplished through the sense of touch. And Isaac said unto Jacob, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting." Okay, that's Genesis 27. Now for the interpretation. Neville says, this story can be very helpful if you will reenact it now. Again, bear in mind that the characters of the Bible are personifications of abstract ideas and must be fulfilled in the individual man. You, the person listening to this right now, we are the blind father, and we are also both of the sons. Isaac in the story is portrayed as old and blind, and sensing the approach of death, calls his first son Esau, who is a rough, hairy boy, and sends him into the woods that he may bring in some venison. It's a very physical dimension thing to do, right? The second son, Jacob, a smooth-skinned boy, overhears the request of his father. Now, Jacob is desiring of the birthright of his brother Esau. And so Jacob, the smooth-skinned son, kills one of his father's flock and skins it. Then, dressed in the hairy skins of the kid from the father's flock that he had slaughtered, okay, sheepskin, he came through subtlety and betrayed his father into believing that he was Esau. The father says, "Come close, my son, that I may feel you. I cannot see, but come that I may feel." Note the stress that is placed upon feeling in this story. Jacob comes close to the father, and Isaac the father says to Jacob, "The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau." And feeling this roughness, the reality of the son Esau, Isaac pronounced the blessing and gave it to Jacob. You are told in the story that as Isaac pronounced the blessing, and Jacob had scarcely gone out from his presence, that his brother Esau comes back from his hunting. Now, this is an important verse. Do not become distressed in our practical approach to it. For as you sit here, you, also are Isaac. The room in which you are seated is your present Esau. This is the rough or sensibly known world, known by reason of your bodily organs. All of your senses bear witness to the fact that you are here in this room. Everything tells you that you are here, but perhaps you do not want to be here. You can apply this principle to any objective. The room in which you are seated at any time, the environment in which you are placed, this is your rough or sensibly known world, or the sun, which is personified in this story as Esau. What you would like to have in place of what you have, or where you would like to be in place of where you are, or anything that you desire that is other than what you are currently experiencing with your senses, which is Esau, that is personified in this story as the smooth-skinned state, Jacob, the supplanter. Okay, smooth-skinned state, so it's not hairy, it's not rough, it's not sensory, it's an imagined idea. It's smooth-skinned because it exists in your imagination. Okay, whereas what's currently around you exists in the 3D, right? So it can be felt. You know, it's like our hair gives our skin the ability to feel with a precision, right? So that's like the very physical, tangible sense is Esau, that hairy boy, or in this case, the physical sensory dimension that we're in right now, the reality field that we're currently feeling with our normal 3D senses. What you want to have, which would replace that, is smooth-skinned. It's Jacob, the supplanter. Neville says, you do not send your visible world hunting, as so many people do, by denial. By saying it does not exist, you make it all the more real. Instead, you simply remove your attention from the region of sensation, which, at this moment, is the room round about you. And you concentrate your attention on that which you want to put in its place, that which you want to make real, that which you want to supplant where you are now. So again, going back to this original metaphor of the reality field, okay, you're going to dim your senses, remove your attention from the plant, the reality that you're currently in or currently experiencing, and then you're going to concentrate your attention by traveling in awareness to another reality field or another part of the one reality field, which is abundant in possible, possibilities. It's like you can literally choose anything, and you're currently in this. So let's dim our awareness of this, and let's go, send that hunting, right? And let's go find another reality that we would prefer, and let's place our attention there. Let's make that real. In concentrating on your objective, the secret is to bring it here. Okay? So this is, again, that difference between thinking of, oh, there's this other reality over there that I think I would like to experience. That's thinking of. Traveling in your awareness to that reality and then bringing it back in a way where you can touch it, that is thinking from. Okay? That is bringing it so close that you can feel it. That's making it real. That's what's out, in this story codified as, come near my son that I may feel you, right? It's not just, oh, let me think of this beautiful thing over here. Come near that I may feel you. Let me actually experience this reality for myself by traveling in my awareness to it and then making it real there. Again, in concentrating on your objective, the secret is to bring it here. You must make elsewhere here. And then now, okay? So we're traveling in time and space, but really we're grabbing that reality and we're bringing it to us, right? Because our body isn't moving, just our awareness, okay? So we're making it real in our awareness. Imagine your objective is so close that you can feel it. Suppose at this very moment, this is Neville giving an example. Suppose at this very moment that I want to have a piano here in this room. If I see a piano in my mind's eye existing elsewhere, that won't do it. Okay, I know that pianos exist, right? They're in the field of all possibilities. There's this thing that I'm aware of that's called a piano. Okay, and a piano in this case is a stand-in for anything that you could imagine that you want. You know that it exists. You know that it's real. You know that it is something that has already been created and it's out there, right? But just knowing that, that's not enough to create the experience, right? What you have to do is you have to actually visualize it here in this room as though it were here, and actually put your mental hand upon the piano and feel that it is solidly real. And when you do that, you are taking the second son, Jacob, the smooth-skinned lad, which exists just simply in the realm of possibility, and you're bringing it very, very close, so close that you can feel it, okay? Now, Isaac is called in this story a blind man. You and I are also blind because we do not see our objective with our bodily organs, okay? So I do not currently have a piano in this room right now that I'm speaking to you from. It's not here. So technically, I am blind to the piano. If the piano is what I desire, you could say that I'm blind to it because I don't see it here right now with my objective senses. I only perceive it with my mind. But I can bring it so close to my mind, so close to my perception, my realm of awareness, that I can actually make it feel as though it is solidly real right now. Here in my room, real right now. When this is done, and Neville says, and you lose yourself in its reality. That's a key part of this. When this is done, and you lose yourself in its reality and feel that it is real, open your eyes. Okay? So we've talked about this in the Sunday Mystery School tradition as this idea of when you travel in your awareness to the reality field where what you desire is real and has already happened, when you do it correctly, you become aware that that which you are thinking of, which you wrote in the scene, you move into and become. And that's thinking from. It is real for you. Actual travel has occurred. And now you are knowing the thing from experience. It is imaginal experience first, but it is so real, it is so near to you that it is lived experience. And this is how and why you can say, when you come back from that to where your physical body currently is, you can say, I know from experience that thing because I was there. And when you do it correctly, you feel that travel has occurred and you actually experienced for yourself what was previously only imaginal. And that's when no one can take it away from you. No one can say, oh, that can't happen, right? Or that's not a real thing that can happen. You know, that reality field doesn't exist. Well, what other people say matters nothing because you've been there. You can speak from experience. Actually, I know because I was there. I am not speculating. I'm not, theorizing. I've been there. It is real to me. And that's that correct state of actually traveling. That's completing this creative act that is described in these stories. So Neville says, when this is done and you lose yourself in its reality, meaning it's so real to you that you're actually there, you've actually moved to the reality field where that thing has life, that state, that object, that environment, that situation, those circumstances actually have life in the reality field that you have moved your awareness to, and you're actually there. When you feel it to be real in that way, then you open your eyes. When you open your eyes, what happens? The room that you had shut out but a moment ago returns from the hunt. Remember, this room right here is Esau, your sensory felt world, in this case, described as being hairy, sensory. It was hunting, meaning you weren't aware of it. It left and went off into the distance, right? And you traveled in your awareness. And then it comes back. You no sooner gave the blessing, meaning feeling the imaginary state to be real, than the objective world, which seemingly was unreal because it was hunting and you had literally traveled your awareness. So the state that you left dimmed, right? You traveled. You were no longer there. In the portal state, you went to the new place, and the old place faded. It became seemingly unreal. And then you come back, and that unreal state returns. Your unreal state, your normal, natural reality at this point when you're back, does not speak to you with the words as recorded of Esau. But the very room round about you tells you by its presence that you have been self-deceived. Now, what does that mean, self-deceived? Well, it's like, okay, I traveled someplace and became so aware that I was there that when you come back, there's almost a sense of disbelief. Like, wow, how did I end up back here after I so clearly moved there? Neville says this tells you that when you lost yourself in contemplation, feeling that you were now what you wanted to be, feeling that you now possess what you desire to possess, meaning you're in that reality field where all of that is true when you travel to it. And now it tells you that you were simply deceiving yourself. Look at this room. This room would deny that you were elsewhere. If you know the law, you now say, even though your brother came through subtlety, meaning imaginal, and betrayed me, deceived me into believing that this other thing was real, and took your birthright, meaning this place around you had the birthright, and now you're giving the right to birth, right? The right to experience in your normal, natural, waking state of reality, the reality field that you experienced first in the portal state that Neville is speaking of here. I gave that state your blessing, and I cannot retract. This is that idea of that which I have done. I have done. Do nothing. I have given my blessing to this new reality field, and I cannot retract it. In other words, Neville says, you remain faithful to this subjective reality, and you do not take back from it the power or right of birth. You gave it the right of birth, and it is going to become objective within this world of yours. There is no room in this limited space of ours for two things to occupy the same space at the same time. By making the subjective real, it resurrects itself within your world. Okay, the subjective in this case refers to the reality field that we travel to when we send this current field around us hunting, and we allow the smooth-skinned lad, the imaginal state, to become real in a way where we can touch it. And this is why we emphasize in our mystery school tradition, scene creation. This is how we do this. And in that scene, there must be sensory elements. There must be something that happens, and it must feel real. Neville's term for this is the tones of reality. It means there must be something that you are touching, something you are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, something. It doesn't have to be all of those, but it has to be enough of those to where you truly feel that you are there. Travel must occur. And when you do that, and then you come back, and your physical, hairy world around you returns from hunting, you will say, I have given the blessing to this other reality field. I am choosing to remain faithful to this other reality that I have now seen because I understand that it is now in gestation. I've given it the right of birth. We know it's coming. Now it's in gestation. So now I remain faithful to it. And I know that by remaining faithful to it, it will resurrect itself within my world. I don't have to orchestrate the whole bridge of incidents. The Father in me does that work. Okay? I just remain faithful. I know what I saw, that which I have done, traveling in my awareness, making another state real. I have done. Birthright has been given. Do nothing. Okay? Meaning, I don't have to make it real. It is real. I just simply have to remain faithful to it, which means remaining in a profound alignment. Okay, remain faithful to your ideal. Loyalty. What does it mean to remain faithful to something? Okay, so an analogy I've given before is when you're on a team and you're working towards a shared objective. Okay, everybody on the team is believing that there's something that can be achieved by working together. Okay, so as long as everyone is focused on that objective and believes that it's possible, everyone is remaining faithful to the mission of the team. Now, as soon as one person on that team is like, oh, I don't know if this is possible anymore, I have questions, I have doubts, what happens in that team, right? The energy sags, okay? And now something has to be dealt with, right? They have to like talk it out or figure it out, right? Because now someone is not remaining faithful to the ideal, okay? So it's the same concept, but this time, applied in our own personal lives. We know where we've been, okay? We know where we've traveled in our awareness. We know that this is our creative power, right? So we understand that we've created a scene, and that scene will come to pass in our normal waking state in the way that we saw it in our portal state first, okay? And so now we remain faithful to it. We keep our eye on that mission. We continue to believe that it's possible. We continue to believe that the bridge of incidents is being woven for us. We continue to walk towards it, holding that ideal in mind, and we navigate any of the changes that occur in our reality, which help us to move from here, where we were, Esau, to Jacob, where we are becoming, okay? Physically, where we've already been in our awareness. Okay, so we navigate the change, okay? So, again, to kind of go over some of the things we've talked about in previous mystery schools, if that state that you moved to and you saw and made real your Jacob, right? You made it real in your awareness, is a very different lifestyle from the way that you are living right now, okay? A lot of change will occur between where you are now and Jacob becoming real for you, okay? So it's a matter of learning to navigate that change gracefully. And this is why, again, here at Sunday Mystery School, we're not just touting the power of reality creation. We're talking about how to create reality and how to create it with wisdom, meaning how to move across that bridge of incidents in a wise way, how to prosper in this process, okay, with resilience, because again, how to navigate change. Because if you're going to be a reality creator by very nature, you're looking at what you currently are and you're saying there's something else that I would like. So again, two things can't occupy the same space, meaning that one has to basically die, pass away, be transition or somehow, the tooth in the name that we were talking about, the tooth that consumes, the flame that destroys, it has to be, torn down so that something new can grow in its place. So as creators, we must understand that that's the constant nature of reality. Everything is constantly, waxing, waning, right? Like it's coming into fullness and then it's disappearing to be replaced by something else. Okay. And so as wise creators embodying the state of creatorhood, we must see that is the nature of things, right? And embrace it, because that's quite honestly why we're here. We literally chose to embody physical human bodies in a physical dimension to practice the skills that we're talking about right now. That's what Mystery School Planet is all about, okay? We're literally here to learn to do this, okay? So it's a practice. It's a practice. And so, the homework is always to practice. The homework is always to practice doing this, and also to understand that this is a skill, okay? So it's a skill that's developed over time, okay? So mastery of any craft requires a lot of repetition, okay? A lot of repetition, a lot of fine corrections, right? It's like, I practice yoga, and my teacher is constantly coaching on, approximating the posture, that is the ideal with your own body. And then once you get to where you are, in the posture, bring it to the full expression, which is perfecting the alignment, right? So that's the same thing that is happening with this. It's like, okay, so we're learning, to create in our mind's eye this other reality that we desire to experience and make it real. And then we're learning to navigate the bridge of incidents to where it is real. And then we're looking back, reviewing that whole process and learning how we can find even better alignment to give this creatorhood even more divine expression in the process. Neville says, take the idea that you want to embody and assume that you are already it. Assume that you are there already. You already are this state. Lose yourself in feeling this assumption is solidly real. Okay? Lose yourself in it, meaning deceive your senses in your imaginal mind, and use your imaginal senses to feel the evidence that it is real and lose yourself in it until it feels so real that it actually becomes real. Again, travel must occur to do this correctly. It actually becomes real because you have literally moved your awareness, teleported your awareness to this reality field and made it real for you to experience. As you give it this sense of reality, you have given it your blessing. The blessing which belongs to the objective world, because the objective world has been born for you. So now you're giving the right of birth to this other world, which will become objective because you've given it the blessing to become born in your world. You do not have to aid its birth any more than you have to aid the birth of a child or aid a seed that you plant in the ground. The seed that you plant grows unaided by a man, for it contains within itself all the power and all the plans necessary for self-expression. You can, right now, this day, reenact the drama of Isaac, blessing his second son, and see what happens in the immediate future in your world. Your present environment vanishes. All the circumstances of life change and make way for the coming of that to which you have given your life. As you walk, knowing that you are now what you wanted to be, you objectify it without the assistance of another. So this is that state of creatorhood, okay? State of creatorhood says, the Father in me does the work. The Father in me builds the bridge of incidence. My role as the Son is to travel in my awareness to the reality field that I would like to experience and then make it real, okay? So that I am experiencing it. And then when I return from, hunting in this way to the physical world, now the Father is going to do the work. All the circumstances of life change. My present environment vanishes. And I move in without any physical assistance from another. I move in a very natural, easeful, graceful way to the embodiment of that which I desire to be, which is simply a reflection of who I am. As you walk, knowing that you are what previously you wanted to be, you objectify this without the assistance of another. Okay? You don't have to ask for help. Right? Father in me does that work. This is our creative power of learning to mediate it, learning to operate it. We are the operant powers. We're learning to do it consciously. Okay? Consciously choose a world to live in. And I just want to reemphasize again, this is also the truth that sets us free. Okay, there is no imprisonment when we know who we are in this way. And Neville speaks of this too. It's like literally, you can literally be in prison and the world of Caesar can tell you that you're doomed, right? To be in prison for forever. And if you move your awareness into a reality field that is not that, okay, your desired reality field, and you actually travel in your awareness, you're set free. That's how this operates. Again, this is the truth that sets us free. There is no circumstance that can imprison us when we know this truth. Our goal is to use this power humbly with wisdom, right? To imagine wisely, meaning to imagine from a place of love, meaning to imagine from a place of being one with the whole reality field, okay? Understanding that there really is no other when we consider the nature of reality. It really is all ourselves pushed out, okay? So all seeming others really are aspects of this one giant reality field that grows all possible realities, okay? So when we identify with the whole of the reality field, we don't desire to hurt anyone. Again, it's this idea of the golden rule, right? When we understand that, really everyone is an aspect of ourselves, then we seek to give to everyone what they desire. Right? Whatever we desire, we can assume that others would desire as well. Okay, so that's operating with this humility and this integrity and with wisdom, right? To be that mediator of possibilities, okay, for our world. Someone left a comment on one of my videos earlier this week and said, please, can we all imagine wisely for others, not just for ourselves, but for others? Can we all imagine peace, right? In this world that we're living in now, can we all imagine peace? Can we all imagine harmony? And can we all imagine unity? And can we all imagine, this merging of perspectives to where everything can become integrated, nothing discarded, but everything integrated? Can we all rise and shift, into this new way of being to where we can, live in harmony with the earth, live in harmony with each other? And the answer is, of course, yes. And as we begin to, in ourselves, within our own awareness, come into that state that is in harmony, right? So it's like being in harmony with the earth. Well, in the form of being human, okay, my first earth is my human body, okay? So the first step to becoming, in harmony with the earth is to become in harmony with my body, okay? So that's like, it's always, in, out. It's never out, in. It always starts with me, right? So it always starts with where I am in a state of consciousness. I cannot make anyone else live in harmony with the earth until I myself am living in harmony with my body first, and then by extension of the harmonious relationship that I have with my body, the earth, which the earth would be kind of, in a manner of speaking, my second body, okay? And same thing with human relationships, right? I have to be at peace, a profound level of peace within my own being, okay? People talk about those voices, that come in, the voice of inner critic, or the voice of I'm not good enough, or the voice of, whatever. And like that can be a battle. And as long as we're participating in that battle, as long as we're fighting in our minds, we're going to outpicture but battle or fighting in the world around us with other humans. Okay. So again, it's never out in, it's never, oh, they'll change and then we'll have peace on earth. It's always I'll change and then the earth will be peaceful. Peace begins with me, it begins with each one of us. So we must make peace within our own being. We must make peace with who we are, make peace with those voices, okay? Which you can learn to just completely transcend beyond those voices if you focus your awareness on that, right? You don't have to exist with them, but you can exist peacefully with them while you're learning to raise your frequency, raise your awareness above some of those voices, okay? So peace begins here. So it's like, let's enter a state, let's enter a reality field where we are at profound harmony with our own physical bodies and thus the earth, and with our own, inner being, inner identity, where we're at peace within ourselves. We have love for ourselves and appreciation and gratitude for who we are and who we've been and who we're becoming, and then allow that to outpicture as compassion and understanding and relatability with those around us, and that will create peace among men, right? Peace among humans. Okay, so that's the way this works. So it's like, if you have this desire to create that, and that's a very beautiful desire to have. If you have the desire to create that, it starts by placing your own awareness in the place where you are that. That's one of the reality fields, right? So we're in this giant reality field, and it's not hard to imagine that there is a reality field that we can choose to embody where we have perfect peace and harmony within ourselves, with our bodies, our minds, mind-body complex, our souls. Everything is in alignment, in complete peace and harmony with the world around us. We're in loving, harmonious relationships with each other, mediated by compassion and understanding and appreciation for each other, and appreciation for diversity, appreciation for what consciousness is and all the forms that consciousness can take. It's a very beautiful state to embody. And I think that very naturally, as we begin to grow in awareness, that becomes the form that we choose to take. Because I think that other forms, which are not that, can be fun for a while. But I think the one that gives this lasting satisfaction or gratification is one that is in harmony. Okay, so it's just like a very, very natural place on the spiral of being human. It's like, human, you're just living cycles, and as you are growing in awareness, you are rising in the cycles. It becomes not just a circle, but a spiral. And so I think there's a very natural and normal place on that spiral where we begin to aspire to peace and harmony and goodwill to others in our reality. First, peace and harmony and goodwill within ourselves. Okay, so that's the text for today. At this point, I'm going to move back into the Zoom room and I'm going to invite any of my channel mastermind members who would like to contribute in any way to go ahead and do that. Let me get the settings correct here. Did I do it? Oh, there we did. Okay. Orlana, go ahead.
Hey, so what this reminds me of is the book with Neville Goddard. Feeling is the secret.
Yes.
Because like when the father said, come close, so that I may feel you, like none of that, like he wouldn't have gotten like inspired or just like what am I trying to say? Like if that wouldn't have happened, then none of this would have happened as far as the story. And
Mm-hmm.
so like, feeling really is the secret,
Yes.
but then why, okay, I don't want to like make assumptions.
Okay. Yeah.
Why do the higher ups, especially with women, because women have a tendency of like being emotional, and like that's the key, right, to like getting all of what you desire.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're trying to I'm not
Yeah. 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 You don't want to speak it in, but I see you're making an observation. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah.
exactly. When we have like real power when it
Yeah.
comes to feeling, especially when it's something that you want,
Yes.
you have to feel it in,
Yes.
to get it,
Yes. 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 Yeah, so yeah, there's so many invitations that show up that remind us, like if we accept the invitation, it'll remind us who we are, right? So sometimes that can look like, people in our reality that, don't take this power seriously or, try to minimize it in some way or suppress it in some way, right? So it's like even that is just a thinly veiled version of yourself inviting you to reassert your power.
right. Yeah. When feeling is everything, especially when it's something that you desire. If
Yes.
you don't feel it, then you're not necessarily going to get it.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Okay.
You have to,
Yeah.
you have to know a thing, you have to become the thing, right?
Right.
So it's like you can think of things all day long. It's fun to do. It's like daydreaming, right? You just think of things, but to actually know the thing, you have to become it and feel that you are it. And
Right.
that's when travel occurs, right? Because you're like, and it's all the difference in the world. You will know when you actually become that thing. You will know
Exactly.
unmistakable feeling of travel. It is unmistakable, and that's why after that, no one can tell you that it's not going to happen.
Right.
You don't care what anyone else has to say because you lived the experience. It was real for you. And Neville's famous for saying he was like, I am not theorizing. I am not speculating. No one
Right.
can take this away. I don't care what you have to say. I've been there. I've lived it. Okay. And each of us
Exactly.
will say the same when we operate this law correctly.
Right. Right. And that's what this story is like telling me, that if it wasn't
Yes.
for that, then, none of this would have happened.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Rolana.
Yes, you're welcome.
Anyone else in the Zoom room, feel free to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello, is this Michael? Yeah, go ahead. Hey.
Yes. Okay, so this is great because this is right where I'm at right now is really trying to get into the practice
Yes.
of this and doing the scenes. So I guess I had a question about how do you see it as because I'm sure you realize that at a certain point, when you get in all this stuff, it becomes much more about you become much more interested in states than like things, right? I'm
Absolutely.
sure that
Yes.
so even for me, it's like, okay, so money, like, yeah, I need money. But it's not about having a certain amount of money. It's about like I want to be in the state of having freedom and wealth, right?
Yes.
And so I guess there would be a question about that one, because you hear a lot about like when people talk about doing scenes, again, I'm just now really tried to get into the practice of I can be good at scenes, right?
Yeah,
So before,
that's a
because of my
state too.
job, what I was able to do was affirmations. Now, what I found with affirmations is that sometimes, like, it's inconsistent for me as far as manifesting. What it's good for is shifting like your self-concept over
Yes,
time. Like if
yes,
you're consistent with the affirmations, it will have an effect and shift your
yes,
self-concept and what your perception of the things you want to be aware of, and it's a little slower. So that's
yeah.
the most. And I'm not saying you can never say an affirmation have something just appear. That has happened, but that's like rare and kind of inconsistent. So and so I'm seeing the whole creating the scenes thing is something that's more precise. And I get that you're creating a scene that implies that you're in the state, right, that you want to be in. So
Yeah.
that and that you need to include that part in my estimation. But a question that I would have was because a lot of it when um you start seeing people who are good at scenes start talking about scenes, then they even more emphasize than any other aspect of reality related creation or anything, the whole thing of like you need to feel it real and then drop it, feel
Mm,
it real and then drop it and just walk away from it. um but and then some people say like, well, you should still have your mental diet, and some say just forget about it entirely. So my question would be, from your perspective, what makes sense to me is to do the scene and then kind of drop it, but because I'm always doing it anyway, to like kind of try to tune into in the medium or during the bridge or whatever it is, like the state that you were trying to invoke with that. And to me,
mm,
that's almost like that is almost kind of like a vibrational thing.
yes.
So is that would that be something that you would say that would be worthwhile to focus on, or that you should just actually do the scene and feel it as real as you can and then kind of forget about it? Or like how do
Mhm.
you do that?
It's a great question. So I call back to what Neville says about remaining faithful to the ideal. Okay, so
Right.
in my mind, it's um, now I am this. Like I've identified it as a possibility. I went and traveled to where I became that reality, which was just a flat possibility in the reality field, became cubic for me. I stepped into it and I made it real. It's like stepping into a reality bubble, and all of a sudden you're there and you're in this world where it's real. Okay, so I did that. I traveled into that reality field. I stepped into it, became cubic, no longer just a flat possibility. Now it's real. I've experienced it. And then when I come back, now the goal is to remain faithful to that. Okay. So for me,
Right.
once I've seen that possibility and actually been there, I felt it real, I come back and I'm a different person. There is no just going about business the normal way, because I've changed because my experiences have changed. It's like you go on a trip and you come back, and if it was a good trip, you're a different person than the person who got on the plane and left, right? That's what travel does to us. Travel actually meaningfully upgrades who we are. It can highlight new possibilities. It can educate us in terms of culture. We can come back, new appreciation for the world, for ourselves, for, home, for, the bed that we sleep in, whatever it is, right? But we come back a different person if it's a good trip, right? And if it's a bad trip, we
Right.
also probably come back a different person. But you get the idea, right? So it's like, I don't come back the same person that I was when I sent Esau hunting and invited Jacob to come close so I could feel the new reality. I come back a different person. So now it's a matter of being that new person. It's a matter of being that. It's not new, right? But it's a different state. It's about being in that state and remaining faithful to it. And how I remain faithful to it is I begin to act that way now, right? So it's like when I travel and I see my so-called future, okay? I see a scene, right? That's after a bunch of stuff has happened, and I make it real in that way. It's no longer a question of like, oh, is this going to happen, or oh, it would be nice if. It's no, that's going to happen. It's as though you step out of the story, and you as the author skip ahead in the book and just look at the end or write the end, because there's a choice, right? You just write the end. And then it's like you come back and now you know that this character is headed towards that end. It's not a question anymore, it's written. Okay? So now it's like I am that person. I am this person now. And so now it's like I'm going to act now in my daily life right now as though I know that this scene is on my timeline. Okay, I'm going to act
Right.
now in concert. I'm going to act now, in a symphonic, harmonious way with that now, right? So because again, I've changed. I'm now a different person, right?
Great. That's a great answer. And I will say that like the from the mastermind, the time thing, that's great because now just having it pointed out in that way, now like I find I'm able to access that instantly at any moment, even right now, like to and that space, if you can go, it's almost like that's a way, like when we talk about like when you're going to like, you know, going into your closet and separating from the senses. I found that dropping into that timeless zone is an even faster way to kind of instantly detach from everything that's happening right now, because I
Yes.
find from that space, like I can just instantly have a thought or a feeling or something, and I'm in a I can instantly zoom in on it, and it's just like I'm instantly there, and that's all there is. Like I don't have to worry about filtering out everything else external and whatever thoughts or mood I was in before. If I just make it the intention to go to that timeless space first, from that point you can just it's like clean. You can just go directly to wherever your intention is. So I'm interested in playing that in that more as I start getting into scene work also. But anyway, I was just saying that was so helpful, and that's immediately applicable to me. It's very helpful.
Brilliant. I appreciate that contribution, Michael. Thank you. Michael is referring to the mastermind that channel members at the mastermind level have access to. So you're curious about the mastermind. So we gather a group of people who are alive and awake in this way together, and we create a group mind, and then we do imaginal acts together with intention. And the last mastermind call we had was last week, and we went through a very profound and sacred experience with time as a dimensional entity. And that's what Michael was referring to. It really was a profound upgrade, obviously for Michael, but I think for all of us that participated in that, myself included. So if that's the sort of thing you're interested in and you think would add value to your life, definitely check that out. We're welcoming new members. You can come and join us. All the recordings of the past ones are there so you can get caught up and you can join us on the next one. Who else do we have that would like to share? I see we have Elena, Paula, and Isela.
Thank
Who's
you,
next?
Josiah.
Hi, Elena,
I
go ahead.
Hi. I enjoyed the story because it gave me a different view of that Esau and Jacob
Yes.
story. I think I used to have like mixed emotions and like hating on, the deceiver and things like that. But this version had me kind of, there's more power given to that travel and
Yes.
to that practice of imagination in the sense that it can't be undone. So the way the father is, after all, it's done. And so regardless of what happens after, it's like a potent thing that can't be taken away. And then the bridge of incidents is just gonna shift everything. And I appreciate the reminder that everything is going to change. Like both both timelines cannot coexist, or one cannot be in both timelines.
Yes.
There's going to be a shift as one becomes another. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brilliant summation. Thank you for that. That's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Miss Paula, would you like to contribute? You're muted, my dear. Can we get you to unmute?
Can you hear me now?
I can. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So I just logged on a few minutes ago, but I heard your conversation with Michael, and I was thinking that for me, the scene is easy, the scene is fun, and what the big challenge is afterwards, staying vigilant and protecting that state, protecting my scene, and not letting myself get knocked back into the old state because of something difficult that happens and makes me feel like, oh, I don't deserve what's in my scene. I was wrong. God doesn't want me to have it, blah, blah, blah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there is definitely a component of that too. That's part of remaining faithful to the ideal is what you're saying there. So something like a fun way to do this is what I call the conscious pattern interrupt. Okay, so it's like you come back, you've done the scene, you come back. Now do something different, noticeably different in your world now that is a marker for you that something has changed. Okay, and I've heard I've heard some pretty bizarre ideas of what you can do, but the whole idea is you do something that like you would not normally do. You go out of the normal pattern of how Paula normally is, and you do something a little bizarre or wacky. Obviously not unsafe, just something wacky and
Right.
bizarre.
Is just
Okay. Yeah.
something random that's just a
Yes.
symbol. So it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be related to the theme.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yes. It's just some, it's
That's
a pattern
hard to
interrupt.
do.
Yep. So it literally interrupts the pattern of the old way of being. That's the whole point of it, is like, it's just, well, that's completely different than anything I would normally do. So like that right there interrupts the pattern. That's what you want. Yeah.
So it could just be something silly like going around a room and turning lots of objects upside down.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
One of my teachers, Frederick Dodson, he talks about one time he took all of the plates out of his cupboard and loaded them into his car and went for a drive. And
Oh
then
my
came
God.
back and
That's
put all of his
fun.
plates back in his cupboard, right? But that was his way of doing the conscious pattern interruptions. I think it's hilarious, but like it's little things like that will, it completely knocks you out of old patterns of being, and you're like, I am a different person now because
And
I can tell my friends, like, yeah.
is that something that you would do right after imagining, or is it something that you would do in response to when feelings of discouragement come up? Or
I would do it right after imagining. If this is,
okay,
if this is now a pattern, you want to interrupt it, right? So as soon as you get back and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling really good. Now go do something completely different. Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
A fun little upgrade to this is adding the conscious pattern interrupt. That's not something that Neville teaches. That's just from personal experience and also a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Okay.
Cool.
Right.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that contribution.
Thanks.
All right, Isela, did you have something to contribute here?
Not, no, not specifically. I'm very familiar with the story, having heard the audiobooks that you've read on Neville Goddard.
Yes.
Just I always seem to be challenged by getting receiving a clear picture in the mind, and trying to maybe what are some of the tools that we could use or are available to be used to enhance the picture, to get a clearer picture of what I'm trying to achieve.
A great question. Yeah. So I know from our previous conversation too, kind of where you are with some of this stuff, but there are tools. Yeah. So for me, the Sunday Mystery School tradition is to do this in kind of a formal way. Okay. So it's like you're setting aside a specific time that you're doing this. So this is either a nap time or, again, it happens naturally 2 times a day when you're first waking up and when you're just going to sleep, just about to fall asleep, to create that portal, right? So it's like you're setting aside time. It's a sacred act, right? You're like going in and using God's creative power. There's a sacred act that you're doing here, right? So setting the scene accordingly and making sure that you are placing the proper importance upon it. And then going into that space, making sure that you're nice and relaxed, right? I was thinking about the Song of Solomon and how in a later lesson that we'll get to with Neville, he's talking about, actually, I think it was in Feeling is a Secret. He also talks about this. It's like you're keeping an appointment with a lover. Like this power that we have, we're in love with it. Like that's why we're here doing this, because we're in love with this. And it's not, just that we love power. We're in love with the idea of being able to be wise, noble, loving creators. Okay, that's what we're in love with. So it's like keeping an appointment with a lover is how he describes it, right? So like, what do you do when you're going to keep an appointment with a lover? Like, usually that's an important thing, right? So you're like taking a shower or whatever, but the point is like you're getting nice and relaxed and you're really going into it with intention. That's going to help clear up the picture right there, is this the intention that we set upon it. Yes, there is an element of physical relaxation to it. As I've shared before, I really like the Shakti mat, which kind of helps my physical body relax. Other people might, take a nice hot bath and like relax their muscles that way, or, go do yoga or like whatever. But it's like really making sure that you're in the proper state and then using the tools that we've talked about. So that's, I use eye mask, I use wired headphones, I use brainwave entrainment tracks to really help me get into the brainwave state where my pictures can be very, very clear. Okay, so all of these little steps And then if you've tried all of that and you're still not quite there, there are other things that we can talk about as well. They're a little bit more advanced, so I think we'll have that conversation offline. But you and I have already exchanged some information. I'm going to make sure that you have some resources available to you to kind of help with that as well.
Very well. Thank you. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Isela. Thank you. Okay. Elena summarized what we were talking about in the conscious pattern interrupt in the Zoom room. She says, anomalous action as a way to anchor in the new state. Anomalous action. What what an awesome way to say that. Yes. Okay, so what do you do when you come back? You take an anomalous action. Have fun with that, you all. That's wonderful. Okay, so that wraps us up for Sunday Mystery School. What we have coming next is Neville and Chill. We're having Neville and Chill this Tuesday. And I'm not sure if it's with friends or not yet. I have some things that I want to talk about in a Neville and Chill way that, Sunday Mystery School is not the appropriate venue for. In Sunday Mystery School, we're very focused on teaching the actual technique and the way of being. Neville and Chill is a much more relaxed conversational type exploration of some of these ideas. So we are going to do that on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. And of course, we'll be back for another Sunday Mystery School next week, same time, same place. Bring your friends. Tell everybody this is a place you can come and learn to master this creative power with wisdom. And again, thank you to my Zoom members for joining me in the Zoom room. Thank you to everybody who joined me on YouTube. And I will look forward to seeing all of you in the next. Take care, everyone. Imagine wisely, my friends.